the pop culture feel, and you will.
Well, Izzy, we made it. We made it to the end of 2023.
Yeah, man. That's
Looking back on this year, man. How was it for you? Was it good? Was it bad?
It was. It was good in that, I successfully completed my first year of marriage.
Yeah.
And so this was
first year of the rest of your life or end of
right.
your life. Yeah,
Pretty
1 year
much.
closer. Yeah.
1 year closer to death, but in that way, it was. But obviously, there's challenges too. Obviously,
Sure.
in that relationship. So it's been a year of like, I think it's like almost like a resetting kind of year because we ended our relationship with Gameology and Shiftfire. That was the beginning of this year.
Oof, yeah, that was.
It seems like so long ago.
Man, yeah.
Yeah. So for me on my end, reestablishing, or maybe you too, but like, what are we going to do now?
Yeah. What are we going to do?
What are we going to do? Like literally for jobs and work and just trying to figure that out. I've been extremely blessed with my buddy French Mike, who reached out to me and wanted to do some stuff. So we're working on that constantly. It's I think getting married, man, there's a lot of like introspection, because when you come into this such close proximity with somebody, you all of a sudden these things start coming up, and they didn't seem to be issues before, or you didn't think about it as much. But now suddenly when you're living with somebody, you're like, why am I reacting this way? Or why did I say that? Or, it's like, because there's this magical thing that happens, But so for me, I've been, and I've, to be honest, man, I mean, not to get too dark, but like my father passed away this year.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal, obviously. But then also we've had some other family issues, in my mom's section of the family. And so it's just kind of this weird thing where all this tumultuous drama is happening, but you're dealing with it as an adult. There's a weird thing that happens when you start to see your parents differently from when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, they're not so perfect. They're not superheroes,
Yep. They make mistakes, and sometimes they make really bad mistakes, and then they don't take responsibility for them, and that makes things hard,
Sure.
Yeah, man. So it's just been a very tumultuous year. Next year, my hope is that it will be a growth year. Some years you're just kind of maintaining, or things change and you're reestablishing, you're just kind of trying to get through the year or whatever. And then some years you're like, man, I'm hitting on all cylinders, I'm going for it. And you're growing and you feel like you feel that momentum. So that's what I'm hoping 2024 is going to be, man. What about you?
Nice.
How was this year for you?
Oh, I mean, it was a lot. It was a busy year, to say the least. I mean, I think you hit it on the head with, like, we started out the year separating from Shiftfire and Gameology. And that was like a big change, because like that was our existence, man. I remember we were like, that was our life for a year and a half, 2 years.
All through the pandemic, like all that's whatever else was going on. It's like, I got this thing. We're going to film.
We were
doing
like,
this
we were safe. Like that was our safety net. And it was a lot of fun to do. It kind of, leaving was hard. I think that was, if we want to talk about like hard things to experience, like leaving was probably the hardest decision we had to make.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was the right decision. But it's like, okay. To me, it was like, all right, we're tightrope walking. Like life is one tightrope walk, and all through COVID, we had a safety net. Mm-hmm. And then, once we walked away from Shiftfire and Gameology, I was like, okay, let's walk one more time, but let's take the net away.
Yeah.
So like, that's been life ever since we left, and lucky for me, I've been able to do a lot of traveling, some for work, some for not work.
Wow, man.
And I'm very excited to, for next year, because I think next year is going to be, life-changing for me. But because I've been working on this project that I can't really mention yet. And I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably have gotten some indication that I've been doing something for a long time.
That's why you got to join that Patreon, man.
Yeah, join the Patreon. I've mentioned
not that we have said anything inappropriate. I'm just saying, you probably have more of an indication.
Yeah, you have a little bit more. I share a little bit more about where I've been and what I've been doing. But it's just, it's been a long process. And this year has kind of just been like the grinding year. where it's just like, okay, let's get it done. I think next year will be like the reap the rewards of the efforts year. But yeah, it's been a very emotional year, trying to balance, leaving and trying to balance family and then trying to balance, immediate family. So like making sure I'm okay at home and, all that. It's nobody's perfect, man. Like, I think this year, recently, like I've decided to give up my nicotine habits.
Oh,
So
great,
yeah,
man.
yeah. I mean, for me, it's caused a lot of, for me personally, like I've been doing it for so long. I've been doing it the past 8 years, 9, 10 years of my life. And I always thought I had control over it. Cause like I've been able to stop, but then I always end up going back like after like a month or two, cause I'm just like bored or I'm in a situation where the benefits of using it outweigh the negatives in my mind. Cause like, when I'm in the military, part of the reason it's ingrained in the culture is because it makes you focus, it keeps you awake. And also it's a great tool to have. So that's why I did it. I couldn't stop. So finally I've realized that like, okay, I have a problem.
Well, man, hey, that's
Yeah,
big.
I got a problem with it because, like, even though I tell myself I can stop anytime, I'm just not. And then it's gone against everything that I've stood for. So it's like my personal belief on fitness is like, okay, if you need to rely on something, is that beneficial? So like for example, like when I walk into the gym and I see dudes wearing like, bicep curling with a lifting belt on, or like every time they have to squat, they have to put shoes on, a belt on, knee wraps. It's like, okay, well, the whole reason I want to be physically fit is to translate over to real life, right? I don't want to look good. I want to be functional, right?
Yep.
So that's my philosophy on fitness. So it's just like, okay, well, let's apply it to that philosophy to like just anything. So that's why I'm like, I'm not really for other than in a military setting, for like performance enhancing drugs or steroids or all that. I'm like, okay, well, if you become reliant on it, like that doesn't make any sense. Like for your life. Cause if you strip everything away, like what do you have? Are you going to succeed or are you going to crumble? You're
Yeah.
going to crumble if you rely on that stuff. So it's like, okay, same thing with nicotine. Like, okay, well, I use it so I can remain focused, so I can, remain awake, so I can remain alert. It's like, God, I'm walking I'm walking contradiction. So it's like, okay, maybe I should apply, this to my everyday to where I'm like, okay, well, I'm working and I want to calm down. I want to relax. I want to focus on what I'm doing. Yeah, let me put a little zen in. So yeah, I'm giving that up. So that's probably gonna be my biggest challenge this year. But yeah, I got a good support system, so it's good.
Yeah,
I'm telling
I support you.
Thanks, Izzy. So like, if you have a habit, you can probably kick it too. I think it's cool. Because I was listening to a Andrew Huberman podcast.
Our old buddy, good old Andrew
good old
Huberman.
Yeah, I feel like he's such a hit or miss. So
Oh,
like
really?
some things he says are like, oh yeah, that's awesome. But other things you said, you're like, yeah, right, dude. Yeah, but anyways, I like him a lot. He has good, he's got good certifications, and then he has good perspective. But I was listening to his episode on nicotine, and he's like, 5% of people that try to quit cold turkey are successful. And like to a normal person, that would like, I feel like that would be a deterrent. They're like, only 5% of people do this, so why even try?
Yeah, or I
To
got to
me-
get some stuff in place. I got to do this
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I got to join a group.
Yeah, but to me, I'm like, only 5%? That sounds like an elite group of people. I'm going to be part of that 5%. It sounds like a challenge to me.
That's the
So
Ranger mentality coming through.
You're like, only, out of 100 people, only 5 made it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be one of those 5. Because if I'm not, I'm a bitch. So it's like I'm just gonna use negative reinforcement to make me one of those 5 people.
You got to go with what works.
Yeah, man. But yeah, this year, has been awesome as far as big wins this year. Exciting for things to come out next year, but also like a lot of realization and a lot of trials and tribulations. Physically, we did the Baton Death March.
Oh my gosh, you're
and
right,
I think
man.
looking back on that was absolutely
that
was absurd.
Rough. That was rough. That was
dude.
really. That was I mean, physically speaking, that was the hardest thing I did last year, and you can blame me, and I take full responsibility.
You because you planned that route.
I take full responsibility for making you more of a man, Cameron.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Yeah, I do. When I tell that story, though, I always mention, I'm like, and I'm going to fire Izzy because sometimes there's these things called contour lines on the map, and they tell you the elevation, and when you see like a lot of them together, it
Yep.
means, and it's probably not smart to like put that in the middle of
Yeah.
of the route you plan. Yeah,
Literally
but it was
right in
still
the
good.
middle. It
Yeah.
was. I mean, yeah, man, that was just, I think I've laid that on a lack of attention to detail in my
Yeah, you were just
department.
like looking at it on a two-dimensional map, and you're like, yeah, that looks flat.
You know what I was thinking, man? I was thinking of two places that I know from my childhood that I want to visit. And I
Yeah.
just literally put the route in between those two places,
Yeah, man.
But I mean, hey, we did it.
We did do it, yeah. I mean, it was good, but like right mile 15, it took us like 2 hours to go like 1.4 miles
Yeah.
because it was just so short, but
Yeah.
just so steep.
Yep.
And yeah, and I already this was like mile 15 when I was feeling it, but
Yep. Yeah,
no,
you
I think
already
that
had the
was
blisters going, and
yeah, it
then we
was
go uphill.
yeah, every step was like ow, 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 ow. But no, that was fun. Looking back on that, it was, that was the farthest distance I've ever been.
Me too.
But yeah, looking back on that, actually next year I plan on doing the LA Marathon.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
so
like, when is that? April, May?
March. It's like
March.
May, maybe March or May. I don't know. The
Oh,
longer
dude,
away, the better for me, I
that's
guess.
coming
But
up, man. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, my buddies approached me and they're like, "Hey, we're doing this as a group, and like this company's sponsoring us because they want to like raise awareness for veteran suicide, and we just have to run the LA Marathon." And I'm like, "That sounds miserable. When is it?" so, so I want to keep doing hard stuff. Like
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing because like
Yeah.
if you intentionally do hard things, when something challenging approaches you that was unintentional, you go in with the mindset knowing that I can do hard things. So like regardless of the circumstance, like I will come out on top.
Yeah, I think I want to do the same thing too, man. I want to keep challenging myself because I don't want to get comfortable. I used to think that was kind of cliche and like sappy, like rah rah David Goggins motivation stuff.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah. Who's gonna
really,
carry the boats?
yeah,
Yeah.
I really do want to really challenge myself and stay in that. I want to just keep achieving, stay in that high kind of growth mindset or whatever
Yeah.
mentality of constant growth and constant challenge, because like you say, hard times are coming for some of us. Hard times are already here. Maybe you're going through it right now, but if you get, it's like training. If you train beforehand and you get that good mindset, when things actually happen, you're going to snap into, you always revert to your highest level of training, in
Yeah.
a crisis situation. So I want that too, man. I want that in the new year.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be good. But we have a lot of things that happened this year, not only in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
but well, you want to talk about some not just about movies and stuff, but did anything else happen this year that you were like, that was super cool? Like looking back on it, you were like,
Yeah,
oh,
man.
this was a good memory.
Well, I love New Year's resolutions, or I love looking back and reflecting on the year
Yeah.
prior, because, like I said, like I want to grow, I want to understand myself, and it's always good to kind of introspect, self-reflect. But in terms of, I'm glad I started the new YouTube channel. That was something
Yeah.
that's happened a
That
little
was
more
big.
the latter half of the year. But earlier, like, our buddy Mike Levy, who is Knockout Lights on Instagram and TikTok, and he's a
Yes.
firearms guy, 2A guy. His property just got devastated by
Yeah, the
rains here in
rain.
California. And if you know anything about Southern California is not a good place to have a lot of rain, because
No.
it doesn't go anywhere, and it gets into people's properties, and it goes all the places that are basically where we've built our homes. And so his property got devastated. He lost, I mean, maybe
Almost
millions of
everything. Yeah.
dollars, definitely hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment, and his ranges, his livelihood, how he makes money is putting on classes and stuff. And so we did a charity stream. I got Cabo Malay, who's a great dude, former SF guy. And then our buddy Patrick from Savage Actual showed up, and we did like a charity stream, man. And we gave away unbelievably awesome prizes. And we just tried to save up to give some money to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just try to help him out. That was my first taste of coordinating something like that. And it was just like, here's one thing I'm definitely going to put a lot more thought process into what prizes and who can get certain prizes or whatever, because man, the charity stream was one day. The prize distribution was like 3 months of my life.
Oh my
3-4
God.
months of my life, like, because I just couldn't. It was coordinating, it's back and forth and emails and all the kind of, and it was a mess. But
Man, because I
yeah,
remember, yeah, I remember that stream. I hopped on for a little bit, like came over,
yeah,
and the amount, first of all, the amount of prizes you guys were giving out, I was like, you would be idiotic not to be here.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
talking guns, we're talking free tattoos, we're talking like
yeah.
tactical equipment,
Attachments.
plate carrots, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Oh my
everything.
god. Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know how you guys came up with that list to give away, but I'm
I was
sure,
mostly
like,
Kawa, man. He's got some
yeah,
hookups.
yeah, I was just so shocked with the amount given
Yeah,
away. And
yeah,
like, yeah, I can only imagine how much like coordination and, logistics went into afterwards. Dude, that's, yeah. But that was a good stream. You guys raised a good amount, right? You helped them out. It was nice.
yeah, yeah. We got a couple $1,000s together and just gave it to him, man. And that was good. I definitely want to do more collaborations with Kawa and people like that online again. Me and the wife were given a package of a year membership to coin survival schools out here in
Nice.
California, and we went to their civilian SEER school, civilian survival, evasion, resistance, and escape.
How'd
And
that go?
it was great, man. It was a great weekend. It was another one of those things where, like, it was hard. It was difficult. There was some real struggle in there, especially just getting cold and wet, like having the hose splashed on you up in the mountains, kind of outside of town here in Southern California. And it was an experience. And it was just so amazing doing it with my wife. My wife is tough. My wife is very resilient. Uh,
That's good.
she's also not eating lunch in the kitchen right now and hearing everything I said. So,
That's good.
I
Yeah.
love
That's
my
always a good
beautiful,
way.
resilient wife. No, it was amazing because I didn't know like how she was handling. I know my wife's she's definitely even keel. Like she's not given to, outbursts of emotion or anything like that. So she's very,
Yeah, she's very
so
level headed.
yeah, she's very level headed. So she actually thrived in that environment because she can just put her head down and just do the work, and we did some work that weekend, but it was so
What did
cool
they
to do it with.
do to you? What did they do? I was always curious. Are you allowed to say, or do you
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
sign
Oh,
like
yeah.
oh
It's
yeah,
basically they're trying to get you ready for a situation where, let's say, you're in a
you're
foreign
kidnapped. Yeah.
country where you get kidnapped. Yeah, and that is a very real thing that happens, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's super valuable. They take you through all sorts of survival stuff, and then also kind of getting out of handcuffs, that kind of thing, defeating those different methods for that, and then they basically fake kidnap you. They turn the lights off. They throw a couple flashbangs into the room where you're in. They yell at
Uh-huh.
you. They put bags on your heads, and then they kind of put you in cabins, and they're yelling at you, they're berating you, just to stress you out and kind of put you in that situation. And then you do an interrogation kind of thing where you're in a room and they're like basically just spraying you with a hose. And this is, like I said, up in the mountains, it's like 30 degrees,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's cold, you're shivering uncontrollably, and then they're also asking you questions to kind of keep your mind focused. And they do this fun thing where they'll do research, like if you have any kind of internet presence, they'll find it and they'll be like, so, you're a bit of an internet star, aren't you, Israel? Um, and that, yeah, you're cold and wet. And then there's a kind of a moment where they let you change clothes and then you have to escape. And you're just spending, it's like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. And all the way into the next day, you got to evade. You're out in the woods
Nice.
running around
Well, so
and
this
they're
actually
looking
sounds
for
like a
you.
good time. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, man. Me and Brittany decided that we would try to stay together. And so we snuck around together and found hiding spots and kind of curled up because,
Yeah.
my wife, my wife doesn't retain heat very well. So
Oh man.
I was like her tauntaun, from Star Wars. She cut me open and crawl
Yeah.
inside if I died. But
Yeah.
it was really fun, man. It was very, the coolest thing was that we did it together.
That's sweet, man. That's, I feel like, because the relationships you make in the military are all through like pain and suffering, and those are
Yeah.
like the best memories. So to
Yeah.
be able to do that with your partner, I feel like is like the best bond builder, other than doing like hallucinogenics together. Uh, you know, but yeah, I'm super happy you guys got to do that. Like, yeah, I want to put my fiance through some like kidnapping stuff. So that sounds like a good time that she'd be
Yeah.
super into. Um, but cool, man. I got to visit Pearl Harbor,
No kidding.
which was super impactful. I got to go to Pearl Harbor, and I remember when I was one of my squad leaders was like, during block leave, he went to Pearl Harbor, and he just was talking about how just like amazing it was, and amazing in not like not in a good sense, but like, you get there and you're sitting on top of the rubble of like these boats that went down.
Yeah.
and thousands of Americans died right there.
Yeah.
And when you get there, they ask you like, everybody shut up. They're like,
Yeah.
nobody talk. And when you're standing there, you're sitting on top of it, you can see all the rubble, and you just have that pit in your stomach. And it's like, dude, it's a life-changing. It's like, if you have the chance to go as an American, it was like, dude, it was like my heart was being wrenched on the entire time. Like, I was so proud to be American at that time. But when you go back, there's like this entire ground, because you have to take like a boat out to the to the actual memorial.
Yeah.
But like, there's a museum, and we didn't do everything right during that time.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of POWs we took, like Hawaiian Japanese residents.
Yeah. Internment camps and stuff like that.
Yeah, like we had internment camps on like our side, and the cool thing is like, they don't try to hide any of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, this is history.
Yeah.
This is what we did, and it might have been wrong, it might have been right at the time, but like, yeah, it impacted a lot of people. But
Yeah.
I think just that memorial in general, like the entire Pearl Harbor experience, was like one of the highlights of my year. So like, if you ever get the chance to go, I highly recommend it, because it was just an awesome experience.
That's cool, man. Well, anything else you want to mention about your year before we get into kind of the best and the worst of what we experienced in terms of pop culture?
I mean, I started a new company
Oh, cool,
with my
man.
buddies.
What can you
And
tell us about that?
yeah, no, it's so like, we started. I'm a VP now on the side of a government procurement company. So pretty much, if you've seen War Dogs, that was the vision.
Oh, okay.
And
All
that's
right.
not a joke. Like, my buddy came up to me and he's like, "Have you seen War Dogs?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm doing that." And he's like, "But I just don't know anybody. Like, I don't know who to talk to." And I'm like, "Well, that's funny, because I know all those people." So like, we kind of partnered up, and he's like, "Watch War Dogs. It's not a movie anymore. It's now a guideline." And we're like, "Okay, but let's try to keep it like legit, Let's try
Right.
not to like, make Chinese ammo, like try to advertise Chinese ammunition as, Yugoslavian or something." But
Yeah.
I started going down that, and it's super cool rabbit hole. Like, if you're not making money, you're learning. So
Yeah.
like, I get to learn all these pieces of equipment and all this gear and this whole new language that is the government's language. So that was super cool. So I started doing that this year, and we've gotten our first contract. Like, we sent a tennis court to U.S. Embassy in
Ah,
in Uganda. So super random. Like, the government buys and does there's contracts for everything. So I thought that was super cool. So that was a highlight of this year too, like new business endeavors and whatnot. So
oh, that's amazing, man. That's really the name of the game. From the little amount of freedom that I've experienced trying to get this YouTube channel off the ground, just the work rhythm and learning to do it, man, I hope it's successful, because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Doing
it's so
something,
much
working
fun.
for yourself is really a lot of fun. It's a lot of
Yeah, dude.
responsibility, but
Yeah, it takes a specific individual. If you're lazy, you're not going to succeed.
no.
But yeah, you will reap the fruits of your labor. I swear to you, and so
Yeah.
will I.
Yep.
But with that, you got any last minute ones? Are you ready to dive in?
Let's dive in, man. This was an interesting year for pop culture. Let's talk about it.
It was interesting, to say the least. Before this podcast started, we were like, this year fucking sucked.
Yeah. We're like, this
For
was kind of a
movies.
garbage year for movies.
Yeah.
Yes, movies specifically, I guess. There was some good TV, and we'll talk about some video games and stuff in that department. But yeah, movie-wise, I was
Nothing
kind
like
of
crazy.
doing research. Yeah, I'm looking, I'm like, I didn't see it, didn't care, don't care. That sucked,
Yeah.
This disclaimer, folks, this is all the stuff that I and Cameron have personally viewed. But
Yeah.
but it's kind of not a very good,
Yeah,
year.
I felt the same thing as I was looking through, because I went through IMDb, like, release dates, and I'm just like scrolling, and I'm like, oh yeah, I saw that. But nothing was just like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
that movie
yeah.
is awesome,
Yeah, lots of this, not too many of like this.
Yeah,
thumbs
lot,
up.
yeah. One thumbs up, yeah, a shaky thumbs up, or you're like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, like it was worth my money, I guess. But I mean, let's talk about some of the best
Okay.
of 2023. Not necessarily the best of all time,
Okay.
but I think there are some movies that came out this year that are worth talking about.
Absolutely. First
Yeah.
up, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Yeah, it was really good.
It's one of those movies that, like when you hear it, like, wait, really? Like it was
Yeah.
like, I think it was like direct to video, or no, it may have been in theaters for a little bit, but like you hear somebody say like, it's not just a good animated movie, it's a great film. It's like the Paddington 2 idea,
Yeah.
where it was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form of really good cartoon animation. It was like a return to form just classic character work and character arc stuff, and every character in it, Puss in Boots included, has a struggle and something that he is dealing with. And it's not just, it's not like a lighthearted thing. It's spoilers, folks. It's like having to do with your own mortality, like dying, death. And how do you face that? And how do you become, instead of selfish, how do you become selfless? And every character in that movie has something to contribute to the overall story. So it was kind of one of those sleepers for me personally, because I'm like, Puss in Boots. I watched Shrek 1 and 2. That was it. I haven't seen anything in that franchise ever
Big
since.
Shrek fan.
Yeah, big Shrek fan?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
man.
All right.
This is my swamp. Yeah.
All right.
Shrek is love, dude. Shrek is life.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Good. But I mean, Antonio Banderas is great. He's a great actor. And then but I haven't seen any of those other ones. But man, oh man, this was good. It's just really good. I don't know.
I'm really sorry, Izzy. Upon inspection of this movie, December 21st, 2022.
Oh, it came out in 22? Oh, man.
I mean, I wanted to let you get it out, but I didn't want to break it to you.
I'm failure. I can't be in the podcast anymore.
Okay. Well, how about we make it up? We have one that we watched together. It actually was really good that I enjoyed. Sisu.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Top notch.
I think Sisu was definitely one of the top movies of the year.
Yeah, it's really hard to do innovative action.
Yeah.
Like action movies, there's just so many, man. And it's tough, man. It's tough that's to not be derivative. It's tough to be fun and fresh, or to make it feel like it's fun and fresh. And this is one of those movies that makes it feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. No, dude, yeah. Sisu was great. I mean, essentially it was John Wick, but Finnish. But just the grit of that character, it was good. And you cannot stop making movies about just massacring Nazis. I think the biggest thing about like action innovation is ways to kill people.
Yeah.
So like that movie had probably some of the most creative deaths I've seen.
Yep.
Like literally going down in the water, and every time they went to go get his body, he would slice the throat open of one of the Nazis and just suck through the wound all the air out of their lungs to like keep himself underwater. Like that was, man, whoever wrote that, hats off. Like that was a great scene.
Yeah.
But Sisu was awesome movie. I've won. This one's gonna be out of left field, but Super Mario Bros. Dude.
Hey,
great movie.
Pretty solid, yeah.
Yeah, super solid. Great humor, great just story in general. And like, I remember just cracking up on the airplane when I was watching this. And like, I didn't expect anything. I was like, oh, might as well just watch this movie because it's like here. And there's nothing else of interest that I haven't seen. So I watch it. And like, I just remember being glued to the back seat of the chair in front of me. Because like, there's such a good mix. There's like humor for children, but then there's also humor for like adults in there.
Right.
And then they also include elements from like the game. Like sometimes when the characters are running or they're doing the scene, they'll like kind of do just like a nice side scan, or what's how do you say it?
Yeah, side scrolling,
side scrolling game where they're like they're basically like defeating what you would do in the game and then transitioning back to like 3D, and it's just so well done.
Yeah, it's a good example. Yeah, it's a good example of a video game to movie translation.
Yeah,
it's like I would put Doom, the Doom movie with The Rock, in the category of not a good way to translate a video game to a movie, because, like you say, they take literal elements from, like gameplay elements from the movie or from the video game and put them in the movie, but that has to be wrapped up in a good story. You can't get by on the novelty like Doom does the first person shooter like sequence in it, when you basically take Carl Urban's point of view and it looks kind of like it's a video game, but that's when I didn't think that was well done at all. And it was in the context of just a really stupid, I just hated that. I hate that movie. But Super Mario Brothers, they had a good, Mario's got some challenges to overcome. He's got some confidence issues. There's
character development, there's good characters, the actors that are screening him, Jack Black as Bowser, awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
Peaches,
dude, yeah.
peaches, peaches,
Peaches, peaches,
peaches.
peaches. Great song. If we're spreading hate about video games to like, live action, the Halo series was hell of a
Oh,
disappointment,
was
dude.
that
I
this
mean,
year? I've tried to block it
no,
from my memory.
yeah, it was 2022, but
Oh, okay.
I recently just watched it because it just came. It wasn't on Paramount
Oh,
anymore.
okay.
It came to Amazon Prime, so I was like, oh, now I can see what all the hate's about. And I was like, yeah, no, way to make Master Chief a little whiny baby, and
Yeah.
like yeah, it's like, oh, he's got to talk to a therapist, like, like Jesus, man.
Yeah, I only saw the pilot. I only saw the first episode, and when they had him take off his helmet, I knew this wasn't the show for me. Not that, like he can't take off his helmet, but it was a very clear message, especially, and they had a human in the Covenant too, which I don't know if they
Yeah,
expected.
I didn't like that either.
But I knew it was going to be a different show. It was not going to be more closely in line with maybe the themes or the storylines of the games. Not that, again, I just would qualify that you don't have to follow the games exactly, but the hardest part is taking the best parts of what made the games great and translating them into a different medium. And I was like, that's not the show for
They
me.
didn't do it. Let me tell you, Master Chief has his helmet off most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like goes against every single game. Like you never see his face. That's why the Mandalorian did so good,
Yeah, I mean, I get. Here's the thing: in a video game, one of the creators kind of said this, where in the video game, when you have a character that has a mask or whatever, it kind of makes it easier for the player to step into the toes, or the shoes rather, step into the toes, step into the shoes of the character itself, right? When you see their face and they have a voice, it's a different kind of experience. If you're gonna have him take off his helmet, I don't think that was as much a problem for me as who he was as a person. Like he was not this kind of world weary or war weary kind of like, I don't know. He just dedicated. I don't know. Maybe I can't say anything because I didn't bother to watch the rest of the series, but it just seemed like a bad move.
It was. I didn't like it. I mean, I feel really bad because I like Pablo Schreider.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played a ranger in 13 hours. Like he's
Yeah.
got it. But I mean, he does a good job. Like he fits the character, but just how they wrote it and like how he was, it was just like, man, like they made Master Chief into like a whiny baby. Like it was not cool.
That's par for the
Like,
course for modern day entertainment. I think in the cultural moment that they're in, it's you gotta knock that guy down a couple pegs. You gotta have some women in there to teach him some good lessons.
Oh yeah, there's two. Like he's on a team with like two female Spartans and like one black dude, and like they just run rampant. It's like crazy. But anyways, yeah, that wasn't even from this year. But let's go back to this.
Let's go back to this year. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, just
it was so bad.
Crap.
The effects followed us through the year. But Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
One of the best movies of the year, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the only movies I saw in theaters this year.
Wow, man. Yeah, you don't go to the movie theaters a lot.
No, I wait for it to come home because I'm kind of I like sitting in my couch and enjoying stuff.
It's fair.
Yeah, no, but I do like the experience. Like if I'm going to the movie theater, it better be a good reason. Like I went, for example, I saw Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning in the theater. I saw John Wick 4 in the theater.
Yeah, they did come out this year, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then also I saw Top Gun Maverick in the theater. I see movies that deserve to be seen in the theaters.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, even in if you didn't go see it, which by the way, you should definitely go see it. He even had like a special introduction to the release. He's like, "Thank you for coming out. Put a lot of work into this, and we love it when you come out. It should be experienced on the big screen." Like because movies like that, John Wick and Top Gun, it's such a big spectacle that you should do yourself justice and go see them on the big screen.
Yeah. Plus, it's like a dying age, man. It's kind of sad,
Yeah, man. They got a lot to compete with home theaters.
Yeah, streaming services, just convenience,
Yep.
Yeah,
but
we live in a convenient world.
Yeah, we do. I feel like it's going to be more and more like it's going to be kind of more of a exclusive experience, kind of like, did you ever go to the iPic theaters or one of those or Alamo Draft House? It's where it's a whole dinner in there and you can order food and and they bring it to you. It's like it's
Oh
meant to
yeah,
be like
yeah.
a top tier premium experience.
Oh yeah, when they're like $25 a ticket.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
but
we used to have one of those by my house growing up. Yeah, you go in there, the reclines all the way back. You're in like a lazy boy.
yeah, you get a
They
little
serve
blanket
you
there.
dinner right
Yeah,
there,
you can have
alcohol,
drinks.
cocktails.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's an experience. That's good.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Mission
man.
Impossible 4, another one. Oppenheimer came out
Mhm.
later in the year. That was a top-notch one. It's Oppenheimer was one of those ones for me this year that reminds me of why I like film so much,
Mhm.
or all that a film can be. Because Christopher Nolan's a filmmaker. There's directors and then there's filmmakers. There's people like, let's point the camera here. All right, they're kind of company men or whatever, and they kind of do the thing and get it out there, kind
Yeah.
of pump it out. And then there's people who think about it, people who understand all aspects of movie making and have a vision.
Yeah, no, that's Christopher Nolan. I mean, when Oppenheimer came out and they were doing like some of the marketing release of like behind like the making of Oppenheimer, like just they like used film, like a specific film that they're just like, back in there's like the widescreen and you have like, the full screen, and there was
Mhm.
like a mix between the two, and he like explained the reasoning behind it, and I'm like, Jesus, this guy like knows
Mhm.
like the experience. Like he is an artiste. He isn't a
Yeah.
director. He's an artist. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Last one, kind of in the best category that I had down for me, was Avatar: A Way of Water, only
Mhm.
because of what we're talking about, or mostly because of what we're talking about in terms of the spectacle in the theaters. You
Yeah.
have to go. You have to see it on as big a screen as possible, on as nice a screen as possible, with a nice sound system, because that's what James Cameron wants you to have, that with that experience. Story was okay, you know, but I feel like
Yeah.
James Cameron knows enough. He's a writer. He's written stuff before. He knows enough to have a good, solid storyline with people they got something to do, somewhere to go. There's a conflict, and but it's not the best told story. There's a lot of holes in it. Some things don't make sense, but it looks amazing.
It looks great. Yeah, even I mean, when the original Avatar came out, that was like that changed something,
Yeah, yeah,
It was like that's when like 3D TVs were being released, remember?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that was like the big pushing point because they're like, "Watch Avatar in 3D at home."
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
was but now and then it also we've been waiting on this sequel for 6, 7 years or something
Wait a
like
second. Wait
that.
a second. It was. I think it was right out of more than that, man. Because I think it was right after I got out of the military.
I think it was right when I got in. Was it
2009,
2014? Was it came out
2010.
really?
No,
But
no, it was. This is like 13,
let's see.
14 years ago, man.
Avatar.
Yeah,
Let's
the
see.
first one.
Avatar.
Google it, folks. Tell us in the comments. Actually, he's gonna look at it right
Uh,
now.
I'm looking right now. Avatar. James Cameron. This movie.
2010.
Oh my God, you're right there. 2009. Wow.
2009. Yeah, that was the year I got out. I remember seeing. I was in Washington. I remember seeing posters for it that it was gonna come out, and then I think I saw it because this movie stayed in theaters for a year.
Like a
I
year.
think.
It was
Yeah,
like it was in probably one of the longest movies to ever stay in theaters.
yeah. It said all these records. What was it, like 2 billion or whatever?
Some
Yeah, 1 billion.
astronomical number.
Yeah,
But yeah, so if it came out in 2009, 10 years later, between 2014 years, we waited
14
for
years.
this sequel
Huh.
for 14 years. And there's still, what, 3 more that need to come out?
Yeah. I think he has 3 more planned.
3 more planned.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. I know that I haven't played it, but later in the late part of this year, they had the Avatar video game.
Yeah.
It's like Fight for Pandora that came out. So it's a whole franchise and a whole multimedia vision that they have planned. And James Cameron, he's going to take his time, man. He's going to
Yeah.
take his sweet time, and
He doesn't
he
care.
better get on that, man, because he's no spring chicken either.
Yeah,
He's getting up
he's
there.
yeah, another 10 years and he's not going to have dementia.
Yeah, I mean, he's a vegan, so who knows how his
Yeah,
body's
he's gonna
going
die.
to deteriorate.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no. Avatar was good. It was just I think
Mm.
it was exciting to like be here for it,
Yeah,
That was more like that experience was just better than the actual movie itself. That like,
yeah,
oh my God, we've waited 14 years for a sequel and now it's coming out. So that was cool.
yeah.
One thing for me, I liked Renfield just because I'm a Nicolas Cage fan and I think he did a
Cage,
really
man.
good job
National
as
treasure.
Dracula. Yeah,
Yeah.
national treasure, And then it's hard to do horror movies nowadays This one actually came out really recent. Cobweb.
I've not even heard of this.
Oh, I really liked it. It was just like, to me, it had all like the reckonings of what makes a good horror movie.
Okay.
Like I think Anthony Starr is in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Anthony Starr plays the father, and like it's just a really creative story. There's like a good monster in it. It's like not based in reality, like obviously, but I think just the way it was filmed and like how there's a monster and like they
Yeah.
don't show it to you
Okay.
like
Okay.
until the very end, and it's just like the suspense, the way they do it, the story is just really good. I like
That's
it a
cool.
lot.
I like Lizzie Kaplan too, and I've got two buddies. My buddies Dan and Sean.
Yeah.
They are horror aficionados. They see everything, even if it's going to suck, and they know it's going to suck. They'll see it anyway because they love horror films. And so I'll have to ask them
how
if
they
they can
thought.
recommend it. Yeah,
Yeah, because I recommend it. I liked it.
Let me ask you this: try not to give anything away, but let me ask you this: how is the ending? Was it a satisfying ending? Was it kind of a darker ending? Was it
It was a darker ending.
Okay. All right. I don't know if I'll want to watch it then, because I'm a sensitive human being. I'm a sensitive human being, Cameron.
It's like it ends and you're like, oh.
Okay. All right. That's a pretty good description.
Yeah, like I mean, like, yeah. You just have to, it's just like,
all right.
Ooh. Oh, you're
right.
like, oh, okay.
Right.
I don't know how else to tell you without.
Well, let me ask you this: did you ever see Oculus?
Oculus, no.
Oh, okay, that's a Mike Flanagan one.
Is that the one about like the actual like sphere?
No,
is it like 2013.
No. It's Oculus it's a horror movie with she played what's it? Gamora?
Is it directed by Mike Flanagan?
Mike Flanagan.
Karen Gillan?
Karen Gillan. Yeah, she was in the Guardians of the Galaxies movies. Nebula.
Oh, yeah.
Played Nebula.
Oh, this is some French.
It's pretty dark. It's pretty dark, and the ending is not a happy ending at all. It's very, very like the bad guys win, the devil reigns supreme kind of stuff. Like, oh, it's bad. Because Mike Flanagan, he doesn't mess around, man.
And I will watch that.
All right, you have to watch it. So, all right, folks, that's the highlights. Now it's time for the lowlights in the area of film. Yeah. And with this should be a larger category. The reason why it should be a larger category because there was a lot of crap that came out this year, but the list is not overly long because I don't have a lot of time on my hands. And if I'm not really excited for something, I'm not going to bother to watch it because I don't have that much time. I try to skip all the crappy ones, and
I mean, like the list you made, I think it's really appropriate.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think it's very appropriate because there's one that I 100% agree with that I thought was just absolute trash, not good, pile of garbage.
Yep.
Like terrible. Like they did so bad.
Which one is it? Let's start there.
Okay. The Flash.
Ugh.
The Flash was a garbaggio to say the nicest way possible. It was so bad.
Yeah. I think a lot of these, except for maybe one or two, they not only were they bad movies, but they are made even worse because of the anticipation that I had. I'm like, oh, this is gonna please be good. Please, I need you to be good.
The trailer was so cool. Looking at it, you're like, oh my god, retro Bratman.
Yeah,
what?
Michael Keaton's
cool.
Yeah.
It just didn't deliver. But I have to be like, it's so hard. Who was I talking to the other day? Actually, no, it was when we had our good old buddy Chad Michael Collins, and he's just like, no, nobody wants to make a bad movie, so you have to have a little bit of empathy and a little bit of sympathy.
He's such a kind individual. Yeah,
and over here we're saying this was garbage, this was shit. It's so mean. But like, I'm sure they didn't want to make a bad movie.
Yeah,
but a lot of mistakes were made.
Well, I think, and based on what very little YouTube research I've done, I think it was a very fraught production. There was a lot of problems. It went through. I think it passed through a couple of hands. In terms of direction, the pandemic didn't help it. The star. What's his name? Creepy boy Flash.
Creepy boy. Oh yeah.
But he didn't help. That was more of a publicity kind of thing. But
Ezra Miller.
I am a creepazoid Miller. Yes. But I guess he's a competent enough actor. But
really,
it didn't help that there were
he was very good. It
Yeah.
didn't help that there was 2 of him.
Yeah. 2 of him
It
in the
was like
movie.
2
That
too
kinda,
many.
yeah. It's a kind of, it just wasted nostalgia, wasted character opportunities. Kara Zor-El, Supergirl. That's not a put down. That's her name. But just kind of, yeah, Michael Shannon. I think even Michael Shannon, he came back as General Zod. They're like, he was disappointed. He said essentially, they didn't give me anything to do. I had no purpose in being there. I was just kind of there to facilitate somebody else's story, and I didn't have anything substantial to do, or no real kind of like, I don't know, just like no real purpose.
Yeah.
But yeah, super super disappointing, and we'll channel Chad Michael Collins a little bit in this, and say I'm sure they didn't set out to make a bad movie, but whether it was through the writing or it passing through hands or at them recutting, reshoot. There's always the recutting, reshooting things whenever there's things are going downhill and they test audiences don't like it. They try to go back and they try to fix it. And that's when things get really, things can go really bad because the story has to be coherent throughout. And this one,
Yeah.
it seems like just a mess, man. And bad CGI. I don't know if much more needs to be said about that, but really
Yeah.
just pointless
Not too much.
cameos, the whole pointless cameos with the multiverse balls kind of floating
Yeah.
around. Nicolas Cage said something where they brought him on set and he was supposed to do this thing where he's walking around and looking at like a destroyed Earth or world or something. And that's what he did. And he was on set for just a little bit. And then he goes to see the movie or whatever. He sees the movie finally, and it's him fighting a giant spider, just like in, the Kevin Smith story that he tells about the origin of what might have been the Nicolas Cage Superman movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just a big, big, big disappointment.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's all I have to say about that.
Yep,
But,
maybe that's all that needs to be said.
yeah, but you have one here, which I haven't seen this, but I'm intrigued.
Hurts my heart,
to,
man. It hurts my
your
heart to even talk about this. I was so excited for the creator, and it was so bad.
Really?
It's one of those movies where sometimes you go into a movie and it's just not as good as you thought it might have been, like a missed opportunity. But
Yeah.
this is a legitimately bad movie. Like the main character's character arc didn't work. Kind of his like little redemption arc and how he changed. The logic of this whole super weapon thing that floats above the earth and is like kind of the main weapon that they use, that the logic of that thing didn't work.
Uh-huh.
It looked great. You could tell that there were a lot of homages to paying homage to different movies like Blade Runner and some sci-fi epics. Oh, John David Washington. I've never been a big fan of his acting. I didn't think it would be a problem. It was a problem in this one. The logical leaps, things not making sense, not knowing why they're doing what they're doing or the reasons for what they're doing, not working out. They do this thing, and I wonder if had to do research, but they do this thing where they'll add in important exposition, important information that the audience needs to know off screen or when an actor's back is turned. They did it in ADR because they might have cut a previous scene where that exposition was given, that information was given, and they cut it for whatever reason. Now they need it, so they have to put it in somewhere else. And so it's this really funny thing. I'm always looking for it because if a movie's not grabbing me or not making sense, I'm trying to listen for that ADR stuff where somebody's like, it's a good thing we grabbed that secret device before we left the base. And that, he's off screen or his back is turned,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of that. It was a fair amount of that in this movie. And it's one of
them
those
just missing marks, like where they're like, oh my God, okay, we got to schedule a day or someone's going to have to like voice over this in. Kind of like, is that what you mean by ADR?
Yeah, ADR is it has a specific name. It's not additional dialogue recording. It's like it's a technical name for it, but it's when they add in. Yeah, they go in after they've shot the movie, and they have to, maybe it was loud on set that day or whatever, and they have to put in and they have to match the mouth movements of what they did. Or in this case, they have to add in very important dialogue that explains something about something that the audience needs to know.
Yeah.
Just the more you think about it, the more I think about it, the more confusing things become because what characters say and do, they don't necessarily make sense. The character choices that they make don't make sense. Like, why would you do that when you could just do this over here? And characters go and do and say things because Gareth Edwards needed them to go and say and do things in order for him to facilitate an action happening by the main character or whatever, but they don't make sense as those characters. They, you know what I mean? It's like sometimes when a character does something, they're doing it out of who they are, who you know them to be, what's been established, or they do stuff because the plot needs to happen.
Sure.
And you're like, all right, I guess they're doing that now. It doesn't make sense, but it's just great performance by the little kid though, in it. I think this was her first little movie, but she's like the little android kid that everybody's going after. She's like the savior of the world. Ralph Ineson, always a great guy. But yeah, Madeline Una Voyle. She was the little android lady. And love Ken Watanabe, Gemma Chan. It had a great cast, but man, oh man, it just sucked.
I'm sorry about that, buddy. I know you were talking about it for a while, so I'm like, that sucks.
Can you tell my disappointment by
you went in. You went in, yeah. You're just saying
dark place.
Yeah, you were saying big words, and like I know whenever you explain something with big words and like actual thought behind it, like a lot, you are like actually upset.
Yeah,
because you're coming at them from a technical standpoint, and like that takes a lot of effort.
Hey, listen, right now, anybody listening or watching to this, prove me wrong. I want you to comment. I want you to write in an email because I love people coming at me with their different perspectives because I think art and film is really something that you can really hash up. And so I feel very passionate about it. You tell me why it's a good movie or why it wasn't as bad as I think. That's my challenge to you.
Okay. Well, I mean, there was TV as well.
The problem with me is this year when it comes to television is that I did not watch a lot of new television.
Yeah.
Me and the wife are in a great rhythm where she kind of has her mainstays. So we're watching MASH. She loves MASH and I'd never seen it before. So we're going through MASH, but then I love the X-Files and she's willing to watch that. So we're going through the X-Files. That's what we do most evenings and when we're done with our work days, we get on the couch, we grab some tea and we just watch an episode or two before we go to bed. It's great.
Yeah.
And, so I did watch One Piece, which came out this year. I was very happy about that. So that's definitely on my best list as well. But then I also watched Silo, and Silo on Apple TV. So Rebecca Ferguson, who I massaged once, and Tim Robbins, the other tall actor. But it's great. It was good, based on some novels. It's post-apocalypse. Everybody who's left basically in the planet lives in this giant silo type structure. It's under the ground. It's hundreds of stories tall or deep rather. And there's a secret. There's a conspiracy going on. It's basically a top-down government that controls everything. Everyone just kind of accepts it because, like, they got to survive, right? It's all for the good of the silo, And whenever anybody does some sort of really egregious violation, they have to go out. They kick them out, and they put them in a suit and they spray them down and they send them out. And one of the things they want them to do is, for the good of the silo, they have a camera that always points out into the world and shows like it's just a devastated, blasted land. It just, but like in the very first episode, they send somebody out and she looks around and it's all like beautiful. It's like a green field, birds chirping. She's like, oh no, they have to know. And so she goes and she wipes the thing. And it was like, yay, she supports the silo. She's still one of us. And then everybody who goes out there, they get like maybe 50 feet and then they just keel over dead. It always happens. Yeah. And you don't know why. And so Rebecca Ferguson works down in the lower parts in the engine, the very bottom, the engine room. And like, they're kind of the grungy kind of middle workers.
Like the hierarchy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
it's
the
like, exactly. The higher up you go, literally. And yet there's such an important thing because they keep the engine, the power source running. But then she ends up getting caught up in the kind of the upper politics and trying to find out what the conspiracy is. So, really well done. I think the problem with it is it was the storyline and the conspiracy was very thin. It was, I think, 8 or 10 episodes, and it could have been maybe 6. So like some episodes were just kind of filler episodes. They were like character exploration episodes because the actual ultimate secret is, it's like there's a couple pieces that you need to know in order to put everything together. And that could have done that in like 6 episodes, but they stretched it out a little bit. So that would be one of my major criticisms of the show. But it's well acted. It's kind of I love sci-fi. I love that kind of sci-fi atmosphere, post-apocalypse. But that would be my close seconds. The One Piece show just blew me away. I was so happy with that, man. That was such a good, joyful experience.
It was good. Yeah, because I mean, I like One Piece a lot. There's honestly so many arcs and episodes, and you have to get there before you really appreciate it. And they just like scratch the surface. I do appreciate though how they're like expediting it.
Right. They kind of truncate, they kind of shorten things,
Yeah.
and they bring in people sooner, and they have story arcs happen
That's
sooner.
super necessary. I think it's very necessary because,
Yeah.
like, in reality, like Garp is like the main antagonist, Luffy's grandpa in the series. In reality, you don't meet Garp until like episode 300 something.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so like I appreciate that because there is so much talking. There are so many flashbacks in the actual anime that you're like, please. I found myself like actually fast forwarding through episodes. Like I can gather what happened by like skipping 4 episodes of them just like flashing back and like wasting time.
Yeah.
So I think they're doing it really well, and I'm excited for season 2. I heard that obviously they're going to introduce more crew members like Chopper, which is all going to be CGI.
Is he a fish guy or something like that?
No. Chopper is the medic. He is he's the medic and he's the doctor, but he's also he's a reindeer man.
Reindeer?
He's a reindeer.
Oh,
so
wow.
He's a reindeer, but he's like, he is a doctor. He was trained under this one physician, and he's good at being a doctor. And he's going to be all CGI though. I think I saw like
he's like a little dude, like a little reindeer guy. Huh.
Yeah. But man, who is
Tony Chopper? Okay.
Yeah, Tony Chopper. But
That'll
I did
be
hear
interesting to see how they execute that.
Yeah, but I did hear that Jamie Lee Curtis might be in it.
What?
Yeah, because Jamie Lee Curtis. So I could see her playing Chopper's like keeper. What's her name? Tony Chopper's old woman. What's her name? Korea. Her name's Korea. Dr. Korea. He's like she's the one that trains Chopper in the end.
Okay.
And like Chopper like works for her, and she's just like old elderly lady, but still has like a rockin' hot bod, and like she still wears like belly shirts and everything. And like I think Jamie Lee Curtis. I saw an article that she's gonna play her. And I think it'd be a really good cast because, like, I heard Jamie Lee Curtis is actually a fan of One Piece. So
that's cool, man. She's a great actress, and she, maybe they'll give her a few months to kind of like work out and stuff. She's still pretty active. She did the Halloween movies and stuff, so maybe it could be fun, man. Yeah, I can't wait for One Piece season 2 as well. Let's move on to our last category. Cameron, I don't know how much gaming you did this last year, but I did quite a bit, actually.
You, man.
Okay.
All you, so go crazy, okay?
I think I got to get you some video games for Christmas, hopefully. Yeah. I know when this episode is going to come out, but yeah, that's definitely what at the time we're recording, I still got to get you yours. But let me just run through these real quick. Most of the gaming I do, 99.9% of the gaming I did this year was on stream. I live stream on Twitch, My Happy Self, combined, say hi sometime. Most of you already do. And so these are all games that I have played or are playing on stream. The first one is the Resident Evil 4 remake. Really big fan of that. The remakes, most of the remakes I think that are being done in the video game world today are actually really well done. They take their time, they pick it apart and put it back together. And they keep the best parts and they improve upon game elements and story elements that were already there. That one was a lot of fun. It's the best way to do nostalgia. Nostalgia is a tool. You can't overuse it. You can't, and sometimes it's done well and sometimes it's done not so well. New Star Wars. But I'll pair that with one of my other favorites from this year, which was the Dead Space remake. The Dead Space remake, in my opinion, is better than the original. You got to give the original credit where credit is due for being what it was. and introducing just some great gameplay elements, a great story that took the best parts of horror and sci-fi together.
Mhm.
But they really, really, it's not just like they put better graphics to it. They improved the storytelling elements. They improved Isaac Clarke's arc. I love that they gave him a voice. I'm a big fan of main characters that actually have voices and opinions. They gave him a voice in this one, like they did in the second one back in the day. And his psychosis and the kind of crazy stuff, his hallucinations, they make a lot more sense once they kind of pay off why he was having those hallucinations at the end of the game. And everything in the game just looks amazing. The graphics being updated and all that. Yeah, really fun. I'll kind of go through these kind of quick. RoboCop Rogue City, talk about nostalgia done right. They definitely did that one right. It's released by the same studio, I think, that did Terminator Resistance, which I never played, but good for them for getting their hands on these properties. RoboCop, if you love RoboCop, the movies, it takes place after the first two. So it takes place in between 2 and 3, which is probably a good thing because I never saw 3, but I don't do RoboCop Jetpack Man. But they bring everything that you love from his dialogue. Peter Weller actually did the voice of RoboCop in this one, to the 80s nostalgia, the 80s architecture, and all the characters that you love from the original. Ed 209's in there. RoboCop 2 makes an appearance, the one that Kane was in, the big kind of hulking one that has the machine gun on the shoulder. The old man is in it from OCP. OCP is a part of it. And you can do crotch shots as the day is long. You can do all crotch shots, man. And that's probably the funnest part of the entire game. He has some great quips, but you can do like slow motion stuff. And I was just crotch shotting all day. Just every criminal got a crotch shot.
Dude,
And
the disrespect is real.
yeah. Oh, man. Madam, you have suffered an emotional shock. I will call a rape crisis hotline. But it's good. It's really great. The last one on this list before we wrap up, the best of video games for me would be Baldur's Gate 3. Now, this is a game that I'm actually playing currently, and I don't know why I delayed so long in this game. It's everything I love about video games. It's an RPG. It's character-based decisions. It's got all sorts of decisions that you can make that put you on separate paths. You can do your character customization, which causes you to have a different backstory. You can interact with people differently. People interact with you differently. It's a beautiful world. It's Baldur's Gate. It's D&D, essentially. So it's a digital D&D game. They even throw a little bit of the dice rolling for initiative in there as you play. Like I said, I'm only a couple hours into it, but man, oh man, it's so good. It's such a good game. And this will be the game that I'll be playing probably well into 2024. That's if I only want to play it once. If I want to play it through again, then there'll probably be the only game that I end up streaming for quite a while. But those are my top video game 2023 that I've played. Because it's always a lot of video games that come out every year, but not all of them amazing like these 4. Worst, I don't have a lot of time to play video games, so I only play video games that I really know I'm going to love or have been highly recommended to me. So the only one that got on the list for the worst is Starfield, not because it's a bad game. It was just kind of a disappointment. If you stream enough games and you play through enough games, the mechanics and the story elements start to become very clear. You can tell kind of the habits that video game makers tend to have. And after a while, you kind of get it. After 20, 30 hours, you're like, okay, I get it. The gameplay mechanics, I get it. The storytelling elements, I get it. The only thing I don't know is kind of ultimately who the Starborn are. There's like this race that attacks you called the Starborn. Like, I'll find out. The cool thing about it is that it's totally great for exploration. If you just want to jump from planet to planet, it's not open world as in it's not No Man's Sky, right? You can't just fly from planet. There's transition scenes and you have to jump from planet to planet. It's not totally open world, but it's fun. It's fun to go and explore. If you've ever played Fallout 4, it's the same creators, and they took so long to create it. I think maybe even the technology that we're using today kind of passed it by because it looks a little dated even. But man, a great near future kind of technology with the spacesuits and the ships. I played as you, Cameron. We made you on stream. We made Space Cameron. So that's always fun. But
how's he doing?
He's doing all right, man. He's on his way to becoming the ultimate star being. So
Okay, that's good.
I've yet to finish it. I kind of got sidetracked with RoboCop and Baldur's Gate 3 towards the last half of this year, but
That's okay.
yeah. Yeah, that's it for the video game stuff. A lot of stuff I missed out on. But I'm very thankful for games like GTFO, Lethal Company, Ground Branch, Ready or Not, 6 Days in Fallujah. I started doing online gaming with friends, and that's been a lot of fun. We call it Friendly Fire Fridays. Every Friday we get together with a group and we play a little bit, a few hours worth. And it's been cool. But that's it for the video game category.
Well, you deep dived real well, my friend. So that was good. Well, before we close it out, we don't have a game, but we do have a fan question, and we will respect it because it is here, even though we're running a little longer than usual.
I do have a game.
You do have a game.
I just saw it. Sorry.
Oh, man. That's fine. Then we will knock this out. So this fan question comes from David via Instagram. David wants to know, hey guys, hope you are doing well. Yes, we are. So I was wondering, what are some skills the military taught you that you think everyday people should know or at least learn to better themselves? Easy answer from me, right off the top of my head, knots. Knots are cool as hell, man.
Oh.
Learn knots. Doesn't matter. You tie your shoe with knots. You use knots every single day. Learn good ones. It'll make you feel like a man, and you can pretty much do anything and secure everything. And knots are just super cool.
That's awesome, man. I mean, I would love it for more people to get firearms training. I think that actually would make for a safer society. But if I was talking about a general skill that I think everybody should have, it's time management.
Yeah, that's good. Punctuality.
Show up at the right time. Yeah, right place with the right uniform and the right equipment. You
cannot go wrong.
I'm telling you, man, it will only benefit your life. So you better get on that. And believe me, fewer people have that, I think, in society than we think.
Yeah, man. So we hope you answered that question, David. In a nutshell, learn how to tie knots.
That's right.
And time management, be in the right place at the right time in the right uniform. And if you join the military or you're in the military, you've heard that a lot. So, yep. But they're true. No truer words have been spoken.
That's right.
But cool.
All right, folks. Now we have a game. It's the end of the year game. We hope that everyone had a great Christmas. We hope you have a happy new year. We're going to wrap this year up rather with this game. It's called Two Truths and a Lie TV show edition. You know how it works. And for anyone listening who doesn't know how it works, grow up.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a category or a show rather, and I'm going to tell you 3 things about it. You're going to tell me which one is a lie. That's basically the easiest way to explain it.
Okay. I will play.
All right, here we go. First one's going to be, there was only 3 of them, so we'll just jump right in. First one's going to be Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones.
Two truths and a lie. What's the lie?
Number 1 fact is the Red Wedding was based on real historical events. Number 2 fact is Dothraki is a real language. Number 3, Emilia Clarke had to eat an actual horse heart for a scene.
Where is the lie? I'm gonna say Dothraki was is a real language.
That is actually true.
It is true.
It doesn't tell me how it's true or where what it's based off of. But
really,
yeah, the lie part is actually Emilia Clarke had to eat an actual horse heart for her scene in the first season. It was actually made of gummy candy and pasta, though she did have to eat it 28 times.
Dude, like earn your spot,
28 bites, I guess. I'm sure they had your spot.
Yeah, earn your spot. Eat that horse heart. You want this role?
Yeah,
you got to earn it. Okay. Anyways,
she really grew up on that channel. The next one is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay.
Television show. First fact about it is Toph was originally going to be a sentient dragon. Second fact is Zuko was the last character added to the show and almost wasn't in it at all. And number 3, the series was originally going to be set thousands of years in the future.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and say Toph was supposed to be a dragon, because that's like super Disney, like Mulan status. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that.
That is correct. That is a lie. Initially, the writer's plan was to make Toph a ginormous looking dude with the physique of someone like Hulk Hogan or The Rock.
Oh, okay. That would have been cool because he was trying to be a warrior. He could be like the warrior. Yeah, that would work for me. But
that's fine.
Nice. Instinct. Okay. Good instinct on that one. Finally,
Last one is The A-Team
The A-Team.
television show. My boys. Mr. T's character, B.A. Baracus, never says the phrase, "I pity the fool" in the show. Number 2, fact, there was only one on-screen death in the entire series. And number 3, the crime the A-Team didn't commit was kidnapping. Because they, in the opening of the show, they say they were thrown into a stockade for a crime they didn't commit. These men promptly escaped. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to say, I don't think Mr. T says "I pity the fool." I don't.
Well,
So
that's the first fact. Mr. T's character, B.A. Baracus, never says the phrase "I pity the fool" in the show.
okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. I
that's
don't
the
think
first
he
fact.
says that. So that is a fact. I'm going to say, only one on-screen death in A-Team. I don't think that. I'm going to say that's the lie. One on-screen death. But honestly, it sounds pretty true because that would be a wild fact because it was. See, I'm talking in circles now. So
You're doubting
screw
yourself.
it. Yeah, screw it. I'm just going to go for that one. One on-screen death. I think there's more.
Oh, that fact is true. There is
course.
only one on-screen death in the entire series of the A-Team. The last one was the lie. In 1972, the A-Team was sent on a covert mission to rob the Bank of Hanoi of gold bullion with the intent of helping end the Vietnam War. They succeeded only to find that their commanding officer had been murdered in a traitorous double cross and his headquarters burned to the ground. Unable to prove that they were acting under orders, they were sent to a maximum security stockade. I actually didn't even know that. I wonder
didn't
if they
know that
actually
either.
explore that earlier on or later in the series.
Interesting. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, that'll come in handy in your life later on.
Yeah, no, that's valuable information. Thanks, Chris.
I want to say thank you to everybody who has listened to our podcast, anybody that joined during the year, anybody that has joined our Patreon. It's been a great year of watching movies with y'all and giving you extra content. And yeah, life goes on, man. I'm looking forward to 2024 and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, folks. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being part of this community. You are super appreciated. And we're looking forward to bringing you more of the Pop Culture Field Manual podcast in 2024. So with that, folks, get after those New Year's resolutions. And as always,
Cue music.